Welcome back to Yelling and Screaming, the best football show, I think, on the whole internet. I think the votes came back and the AP poll ranked us number one. So that's super meaningful. Thank you to all the fans. Sean,
We
how you
really do
doing, man?
appreciate it. We really do appreciate it, guys. I know McAfee puts on a good show. Those guys over at Fox and CBS, they do a hell of a job, but we try to give you good content. I'm doing well, Rick. How was your Christmas?
I can't complain too much. A lot of good ball, real quiet here. I got a lot of work done. I think I have my recording figured out for now. We got some more paint and stuff to throw up, but hopefully the camera doesn't blow itself out of focus 19 times like it did on yesterday's show. That was pretty frustrating, but overall pretty good. How about you? Anything special in the holidays?
Not too bad. Honestly, spent some time with some friends. Communicated with the family back east. It's been a pretty good couple of days. Weather here is obviously beautiful. Even on the worst day, it was slightly drizzly. um, yeah, nice and warm and sunny still. Um, you know, it's a good time of year. Weirdly enough, I had people who were like, "Oh, I missed the holiday season. I missed the snow," and I was like, "If I want snow, I can just drive 2 hours to it."
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm okay with going outside and shoveling all the sunshine.
I
But
watched a
yeah,
bowl game yesterday, Pop Tarts Bowl, with my feet in the pool. Like
yeah,
I'm good.
yeah. Like my
uh,
my cold plunge is jumping into the pool nowadays.
our slate is a little thinner here than usual. Lots of games for the holiday. There were 3 games on Christmas and then 2 games yesterday. So let's get into some of that recap to leave us some time to talk about some of the really big games on the back end of this slate.
Yeah,
Christmas Day, Cowboys beat the Commanders 30-23. Man, I thought they were going to give this one away. They started cowboying, and I'm watching this just like, they're going to lose this game to Josh Johnson, aren't they? And
hmm
end up hanging on, but man, they did everything they could in the second half to lose this game. But Cowboys come out on top, 30-23.
picking up 17 in the second was definitely like a lot for them, and I think they just don't know how to manage clock very well. They kind of lost themselves there. And the NFL, it's any game, guys can start figuring things out. So thankfully for the Cowboys, for them it was a win. They still have some things that they're hoping to, I guess I'm assuming, analyze at the end of the season. And so they're still trying to figure some things out with some guys. Commanders, obviously, we know their season's been shot. The loss to the Eagles, the loss to the Cowboys. Now, like we're not expecting anything from them. The rest of the season, I think they're ready to just kind of move past it, all the injuries, and just hopefully next season they come out nice and strong and get their offensive rookie of the year back in Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Bill looked good. I don't know how much that is a shitty Cowboys defense. I'm not sure the Commanders got enough of a look at anybody this year to know what's real and what's not. Obviously, losing your starting quarterback puts you in a weird spot. But I mean, I feel like I don't know who McLaurin is or Debo or Bill, like specifically in the context of this offense. Obviously, we know who they are for the most part. Debo and Terry, scary Terry, not so scary Terry,
Mm-hmm.
as NFL players, obviously. But in the context of the Washington offense, do they have the pieces that they need to compete? I didn't see enough this year.
I think they feel that way. I think the biggest issue for them is the difference between Jaden Daniels and Marcus Mariota as far as style of play is not very far, but the difference as far as skill set and actual execution is the difference between a 4-12 team and an NFC championship team. And I think there's going to be you're not going to be able to truly evaluate some of these receivers in their timing, in the way that they're breaking, just because Mariota's not going to hit them the same way Jaden Daniels would. He's going to be late on stuff. He's going to be early. He's going to sail some balls. And so some of those things that you look at from skill players is kind of difficult to do without the guy who's running the offense, and who's effective at running the offense. I mean, don't get me wrong. Mariota's got some skills, got some talent, but he's not a guy you're relying on to win you more than 10 games.
Well, and Josh Johnson played this one because
True.
Mariota's hurt as well. So,
Yeah.
it's just a lost season, like you said.
Yeah.
Real big upset in the NFC North. This was a weird game. Vikings in a whiteout beat
I know.
the
I like that.
Lions 23-10. Yeah, the whiteout was sick, especially on Christmas. Max Bosmer, how do I want to say this? he had 51 passing yards, and the Vikings won by 2 scores. He was sacked 7 times, completed 9 passes for 51 yards, and won the game. And at times looked like the better quarterback in this game. That is hyperbole,
The
like crazy.
entire time he looked like the better quarterback. Oh my gosh.
Oh, you're gonna okay. I thought you were gonna try to pull me back down to earth. I mean,
Sir.
at least Goff had more than 51 passing yards.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was playing from behind for the fourth quarter, but I mean, he was also playing from the ground most of the time. Like, I've never seen a defense completely dismantle a quarterback the way that they did him. Their edge rushers, I don't know what was going on with them, but he had no pocket presence. Their edge rushers literally just came right around the edges and just racked them over and over and over again. I mean, and don't get me started on the interceptions. Like I don't know who was play calling, but I feel like the defense was play calling for Goff. Like I think they were play calling for him.
I don't understand what happened in the run game. I haven't gone back and watched this on all 22 yet. There had to have been something going on along the offensive line. I know the Lions are down a lot of key pieces. I believe they're on their 3rd center. So like that comes into play eventually, but 30 carries as a team for 68 rushing yards is very not Lions. We've seen them look susceptible at times this year. The rushing game pretty much always works, and it did not. And against the Vikings team that is now 1 game away from being above 500 on the season, and looks night and day better than they did earlier in the year. Obviously, still issues at quarterback, even if your guy, JJ, is in there, right? Not your guy, Sean, but like your guy, Vikings fans.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously not having him in there, but I think offensively and defensively, this Vikings team looks light years better than they did early in the year. And with the way the Packers defense looks, and we'll get to that in a little bit, this Vikings team might have the pieces in place if JJ McCarthy is able to, evolve a little bit more.
Yeah, sorry guys, little issues with the camera as well on my side. I guess mine decided it was going to have play tag with Rick's and like hold my beer, be a little bit worse.
We can hear you though, so that's good.
That's awesome. I do appreciate it. At least I can still be here in spirit. But no, I think that if you're a Vikings fan, honestly, this season is a win for you. Even if the team for whatever reason it goes 1 game under 500, realistically, that was Carson Wentz. You had a 5-4 with your actual starter when he played. So that's something to look forward to. And then you get your running back. You really don't think of this season as too much of a loss. It's very difficult to do with injuries. You're not going to be a winning franchise on your 3rd string quarterback. I don't care who you are. But I think that if you're a Vikings fan, you saw the team play significantly better defense in the second half of the season than in the first half. I think that you guys definitely you won games that we didn't expect you to. You stayed close in games, and at the end of the day, I think that a season where you lose your starting quarterback, he's battling injury. He goes out twice. You got your backup quarterbacks injured. This is something that you can hold your head high and look to next year to come back and really challenge for that division, especially considering the Lions are just above mid. Like, I don't know how they do it to themselves, but they really aren't performing when they need to. I don't know what happened to them in the second half of the season. Obviously, every team has issues with injuries, and you have to figure out a way to kind of work around those and, figure it out. I mean, you got a team like the Eagles who had plenty of injuries, plenty of issues, and they got their ship righted. You got teams like the Niners, who we've seen quarterback issues, injuries, and they were able to, keep themselves in there. And so if you are the Lions, I don't know what you do. I mean, you still have a potent offense. The run game is there. Like, what else do you do? You need 17 offensive linemen in case one of them gets injured. Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's not a great spot to be in because at least like the DNA of the team is the same as the world beaters from last season, right? Mm-hmm. Losing the guys along the offensive line is a big deal, but this is the NFL. Those guys get hurt a lot for every team. You have to have the ability to replace them at least to a certain level, right? Obviously, if you got all pro guys, it's not plug and play. But if you have some of the best skill players in the league, you don't need all pro level play on the line. You need just enough time to get that ball away, and they weren't getting that. So it's just interesting to watch, to see. I watched with Lions fans and some Packers fans, and a lot of opinions on this game, and none of them were good.
That division is a tough division now, man. I mean, like the worst team in the division is going to be above 500. That's crazy.
Yeah, yes. We'll talk about this division a little bit more. There's some more data and then a big game coming up here. True. But let's go out west. The Christmas nightcap, Broncos Chiefs. Bo Nix got kind of outdueled in this one, and I'm really glad that they lost to the Jaguars last week, Sean, because if I had gone all in on the Bo train for MVP, and then they put up this game, I would have looked even dumber than normal. Alokun comes in for the Chiefs in what is, a burnt season for them and looks good. Not great. 13 for 22, 66 yards, 1 touchdown. I was impressed not by his stat line, but by the throws he didn't make. He really did not put the Chiefs in position to lose this game. Broncos by and away the better team, put this one away. But didn't see what I wanted to see from a Broncos team going into the playoffs. They have a chance to clinch the number 1 overall seed here, and if this version of the Broncos team shows up, they're going to need that bye because it'll get them at least one more round into the playoffs before they lose to a real team. I was disappointed with them in this one.
I'm going to say, honestly, divisional game, the scheme is going to be a little bit different. They're going to know them a little bit better. But yeah, you're right. The Broncos did not do what they needed to do as far as they should be foot on the neck right now. I don't know if they're already thinking 1 seed's locked up. But this is a game where you put that foot right on that team's neck and you say, hey, this is our division now. Like you guys had it for the last couple years. The Reigns are now over here in Denver. And they just didn't do that. It was way too close of a game, in my opinion. You're absolutely correct. Just a quick fourth quarter touchdown inside of 2 minutes to really put the game away. And you look at the fact that we're talking about a Chiefs team that has looked like a shell of themselves. They're going to be doing things in this offseason to really put themselves at the next level and compete back on that same stage as they've been in the previous years. So for the Broncos, you needed to really cement yourself in this division. Chargers still kind of sticking around. They're still trying to prove that they're the team in this division as well. So if I'm the Broncos, I'm not looking past any games. You win out, you take the rest week with the bye, and you come out strong as hell, because I guarantee you whoever they're playing against in that first week they're going to be hungry as hell. Whoever they're playing against in their first playoff game is going to be a hungry team that is looking to knock them off and hopefully catch them slipping. So,
well, and it's telling to me that it took this long to clinch the division in a year where we've been kind of hard on the Chargers, and the Chargers have been kind of down. Well, all that matters at the end of the year is wins and losses, right? And they're 11-5. They're 2 games behind the Broncos. I mean, they made this a fight the whole way. Maybe if the Broncos have it locked up, you don't have to play all your starters on Christmas in the cold in Kansas City. But, they're in a position where they absolutely had to win that game, and it just kind of changes the arithmetic a little bit. But this Broncos team has looked amazing for long stretches of the year, but then they put up games like this, and it's like, is this team better than the Patriots? Is this team better than the Bills? Is this team better than whoever wins the AFC North? And I'm not sure, where some weeks I wouldn't even ask that question because the answer is so obvious, but just a weird game on a cold Christmas Eve night.
I think we've seen them play down a lot this year. Like they've won, but they're not dominating in any of these wins realistically. I mean, we got a Bengals win that was absolutely dominant, but we got a one score win against the Titans. You got 2 points against the Jets. You got 3 points against Tennessee, against the Texans, 3 points against the Raiders, 3 points against the Chiefs, 1 point against the Commanders, and so it's like you're not really seeing them dominate teams here. They're just winning games. And if you're a Broncos fan, like that's great for you because in your eyes, it doesn't matter what the circumstances of the game is, whether it's a high scoring, low scoring game, your team seems to be the one pulling it out. This might be, in my opinion, one of the years where teams have won. I think this might be by the closest point margin in a while. Definitely the one.
Yeah,
the closest
I was just looking at that. They're still like plus 80 somehow. I don't know.
That's weird. Yeah, but they're just sneaking out 2 points here, 3 points here, 2 points here, 3 points there.
Yeah, the blowouts have really skewed it.
Yeah.
Staying in the West, Chargers fall to the Texans 16-20. This is kind of a preview. These are both playoff teams. I think locked in. I think the AFC is set except for the winner of the AFC North. Stroud looked like Stroud. Herbert looked like Stroud. My question for you is Omarion Hampton for real? Obviously lost time, injuries, still young. 14 carries for 29 yards in this game, albeit against a really, really good Texans rushing defense. But, the Chargers don't need him for weeks 1 through 16, 17, 18. Really need him in the playoffs. Does Hampton have enough to convince you that the Chargers can win a playoff game?
No. And it's mostly because I just don't feel as confident in him. We've got guys who performed in some of the toughest situations that we're like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, but if you gave me Derrick Henry versus Omarion Hampton, I'm like, yeah, we're winning whatever the game is. It's just because you've seen him perform in some of the toughest situations, whether or not his team won or not is different. But I think if you give a guy like that, put a guy like that in that situation, I feel like that would be 100% for me. I do not see that from Hampton yet. I'm not convinced that he has gotten a full feel for what this offense looks like, this offensive line looks like. And I just think that they need a little more time to continue to evaluate him. Playoffs are coming up, so it really doesn't matter. You got to do what you got to do. And I think that, we're going to figure out in this first playoff game whether or not he's real, whether or not he's serious. But I think that the team just has to build around his ability and understanding that they have this very, very good wide receiver core. And so when you've got to have your defense playing nickel, playing dime a lot to cover these guys on the back end, that means that it opens up the box for you, opens up the front end to allow for your guards to start pulling and get some nice little run schemes in there and really give yourself a chance to break games open in that area. So I think that they just haven't 100% gotten there yet. I think that they're on their way. I think he just needs a little bit more time to really feel out this offense. And I think that they should be good if they can, keep pace and outpace some of these other teams in the AFC.
Well, I think that their reward is going to be a trip to Foxborough. So, not great, but
not ideal.
That's why they play the games, right? Ravens beat the tar out of the Packers. This was a backup quarterback battle. So at the risk, I don't know if the Packers fans I was with on Christmas will be tuning into this show or not, but the risk of alienating them, I don't want to hear any more about Jordan Love's injuries and how much the Bears cheat. I don't want to hear about how your backup quarterback was in this game because Malik Willis is better than Jordan Love. I am very worried about this defense going into the playoffs. This Packers defense got gashed. Derrick Henry, 36 carries, 216 rushing yards, and 4 touchdowns. Sean, that is the second best fantasy performance of all time by a player to not catch a pass.
That is incredible. And
the number one of all time, Derrick Henry, 2018.
Like I said, if you put this man in that same situation with Hampton, you're winning the game. But I do think that if you're the Ravens, obviously, you still are fighting for that last spot. Say what you want, but I don't think that they're giving up on this season. I think that they really somehow feel like they can still sneak in. And Pittsburgh is not necessarily making it hard. They got to do their job. But I think that it's incredible that the Packers defense has gone so far in such a short period of time. We watched earlier in the season, and don't get me wrong, I will admit that Micah Parsons is a very, very, very good defensive player. I think that if you, unfortunately, if you build your entire offensive speed around one guy, and that guy's gone, you start to see some of those things crack. I'm very critical of the Eagles because I think that they have so many defensive linemen that they should be able to cycle guys in and out when you have an anchor missing. But you see teams when they lose that anchor, they really start to struggle because their team is not just built around that guy, but built around his speed to force plays into specific situations that help out your blitzers on the opposite side of the ball, or your guys in the back end not having to cover as long. They cover a lot of deficiencies when you have that type of defensive player. So I think that it's sad for them. I think that they still hope that they can kind of pull some things out here, but I do not see that the Packers are going to be one of those teams that we're talking about, really making any rumbles here anytime soon until they get their guy back next year. Their guys back.
Well, and before the Packers fans have a freak out, this was a playoff game for the Ravens. This was a meaningless game for the Packers. So they rested players. There's still something wrong with Josh Jacobs. So they just didn't even bother. They didn't even try. I think he had a couple token carries here and there. But
took the Packers, right?
Yeah, the Packers did not really play anybody but their wide receivers, and that's because those guys don't ever get any reps because they're constantly hurt. So I get that a lot of key players were either resting or taking plays off. The defensive secondary did enough, I think. You know how I feel about the Ravens receivers. Obviously, with Huntley in there, it's kind of irrelevant anyway. But the depth on this Packers team is giving me a lot of pause because, they're going to have to play probably the Bears the first week of the playoffs, depending on how some of these other games break. And, man, the Bears are going to want that one real bad. And if you don't have defensive depth that's convincing and you're banged up on offense, I don't think they can beat this Bears team again. So obviously you play the games, but it's not the warm and fuzzy I wanted. Giving up 200 rushing yards to one of the best running backs in the league, maybe in NFL history, sure. But letting Tyler Huntley just kind of sit back there and only sacking him once, and it didn't feel like a Packers team that was ready for the playoffs.
I agree with that. I don't feel as though that they're ready for the playoffs either. And honestly, even if they are, what are you going to get from them in the playoffs? We're not looking at experience here. We're not looking at a team that has been battle tested before. So again, the receivers, they were injured, a lot of them throughout the season. And we're not seeing what you would expect from a team that should be marching into the playoffs, in my opinion. I would expect them, and I know they need to rest some guys, obviously, with the injuries. They need to make sure that some of these guys are playoff ready. But the rest of the team, hey, look, you're fighting for a really, really, really tough position to make sure that you're ready for the playoffs. I just don't feel like they're there yet. I just don't see that even if they get there, that they're going to be able to beat the Bears with how good the Bears have played this season.
Let's get into our game of the week. Mm-hmm. This is a big one for both these teams, actually. Seahawks and Panthers. Man, how many times have we talked about this Panthers team this year? A team that, by all means, you know what? No, that's not right. We should be talking about this team. This Panthers team is right here. They will either be the 4 seed in the NFC or they will not make the playoffs. They are 8-7. So what do you need to see from the Panthers in this game other than a win, right? Because they have to win this game. That would make you convinced that they could take on the Niners, potentially Niners, Rams, and come away with a playoff victory at home 2 weeks from now.
I think a one-score game here is the best outcome either way, whether it's Panthers on top or Seahawks, unless the Seahawks decide to do something really weird. I would expect that they're going to come out and play the way that they played all season. But we're looking at Carolina at home, and so they have the potential in this situation to really cement themselves as one of the teams in the NFL that people had no idea was going to be so good. I know you didn't like Bryce Young. I know you weren't the biggest fan.
I still don't, for the record.
You didn't believe that he was an NFL quarterback, that the team was anything more than just cannon fodder in a lot of instances. But you look at the run game and it looks good.
Up.
You can go ahead and pull them up, but the run game has kept them here. I mean, let's be honest. We talked like Chuba was there, and with Darnold in there, they had a solid run game. You're looking at 1,800 rush yards for the season. Realistically, between Darnold and Hubbard, but we're looking at Ted will end up being a 1,000-yard receiver. So you've got a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver on the team that has a quarterback who's not playing too poorly. I mean, yes, he has 9 picks, but he's got 21 touchdowns, and so that's a good ratio. This is definitely his best season as far as passer rating, and it goes to show that sometimes the development just needs to be there. Sometimes it just takes time for guys to really get into the groove, and imagine what this team could be, in a couple of, even next season, couple of seasons. I mean, you're looking at 100 tackle guy and Roseboom. Like you start to see that they only need a few pieces to really, really be one of those teams that can challenge. So for me, a 1-score game for them is showing me that they're on the right track. They're going in the right direction, and they're the team that is now going to take over that division.
So you're more concerned about the future than this year's playoffs.
This year's
development arc.
This year's playoffs, I would love to see them win a game. I think it'd be definitely more than anybody would have expected. Obviously, when your quarterback throws for sub 3,000 yards, you typically aren't expecting the offense to be that good. And realistically, this team was not what I expected it to be. The defense has played a lot better. They stay close in games. And I think part of it is that the division is a little bit weaker, and that kind of helps you boost a little bit there as well. But I think that if they can keep this game close, whether it's 1-score, a touchdown game, what I expect, field goal game, a lot more to keep your head held high on, especially against the Seahawks team that has showed that it's a top 10 offense and defense this entire season. So their run game is potent. I think their pass game, we're looking at a receiver that's up there with the numbers in Jackson Smith-Njigba. So I think that honestly, as long as the Seahawks don't dismantle you, if you're Carolina, this outcome will definitely make you feel like you're in the right direction. And I doubt that they're playing at home. I doubt that they're going to care at all about what my opinion is. They're going to go out there and then put themselves in the best position to win this game. So I'm excited for Carolina. I have been for a while now.
Well, let me walk you back to 2022. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. He goes 1-5 to start the year. They traded for him. They brought him in because Sam Darnold was so bad that they needed to make a change. He goes 1-5. Sam Darnold comes in, goes 4-2, and gets traded. Sam Darnold, obviously now visiting as the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks. Seahawks offensive coordinators, the head coach of the Panthers. There's a lot of ties here. Obviously, only 32 teams in the league. We see these kind of narratives, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think Darnold is any additional motivated to beat this Panthers team, or is this too far in the past, too far in the history of his journey to really be like a true revenge type game?
Oh, I definitely see that's the case. But to your counterpoint, the OC for the Seahawks is the head coach. So if we're talking about who's got a little bit of an advantage, or who might even be who might have a revenge game, in there, it's definitely went a little bit heavier on it definitely went a little heavier on Carolina, especially since Darnold went from there to the Vikings and did exceptionally well, and now he's playing on a good team. If I'm him, I'm not mad at all. Thank you for letting me go and setting me on the path to be the successful quarterback that I am today. With that being said, obviously Carolina feels like they have their guy in Bryce Young right now, and so I think that they are also they're hungry right now. And I think that if you're talking about revenge games, both these teams got some motivation, but I definitely think Carolina's got more motivation than Seattle does. And sometimes if you're Seattle, you might kind of look past a team like Carolina. Sometimes teams do that. You don't really think about it. They kind of are maybe Seattle start resting a few guys here later in the game. And Carolina doesn't play and plays through, and we get a lot tighter game than we expect. So I'm just excited for how this game's going to play out.
I think because the Seahawks have not yet clinched, we won't see them resting guys necessarily. They need to win this game. Really important one for them. I think having the 1 seed in the NFC is so important with some of these teams at the bottom, like the Packers, who, if they turn it all on, are one of the best teams in the league, right? The last thing I want to see is the Packers coming to town when I choked away a 1 seed. So I'm hoping to see the Seahawks perform to what they're capable of. The NFC West is obviously phenomenal, probably the best division in football this year, most likely. I don't want to have to deal with the Niners or the Rams. So having that 1 seed, having the bye, letting some of the stuff sort itself out, should be enough motivation for them. I do have the Seahawks winning this game. They're 6.5-point favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, we've been talking about this Panthers team like this all year, haven't we? I feel like we're on repeat. We've had this conversation, and like, is this a game the Panthers jump up and bite you? It would be the craziest thing, would it? Let Bryce Young lead like a game-winning touchdown drive, and maybe
I'm going game-winning field goal. Game-winning field goal would be ridiculous for them. I think that'd be awesome. I also am looking right now at the way things are shaping up. Rams and Niners are literally the same, neck and neck. Seattle, even if Seattle loses this game, I think they should still close out the season as the 1. It would be tough. I think they should still, because they have the tie break, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think they play the Niners next week.
Oh,
I think that's the math. It's Bears Niners this week, and Seattle, San Francisco next week.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Good Lord.
So they need to win this game.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Honestly, you don't want to have to play the Niners to close up the season and go from 1 seed to the 6. Whew.
Yeah,
that would be interesting.
Like the stakes are high. It's a bye week for the Seahawks, or you could be going to San Francisco 2 weeks in a row. So, yeah, exciting times. You got anything else on the game of the week here? Or you want to get into the main slate?
Let's get to the slate.
Cardinals, Bengals. This is Bengals -7. Obviously, Joe Burrow is back. Season is over for both of these teams. Does it matter? Give me one thing you're looking for in Cardinals, Bengals.
In all honesty, I'm looking at whether or not the Cardinals even waste their time with Kyler Murray next season. Like, what do you do? It's a lot of money.
Contract,
we talked about
Don't sign quarterbacks, guys. All the NFL GMs that watch this show, come on.
You see what happened when they talk shit about the running backs and underpaying them, and then you get running backs and you get 2 running backs going off for 1,000 yards in the season. Like, so you see these quarterbacks, they get these fat contracts and they just play like shit, and it's like, well, I mean, hey, we need to reset the market. Stop pushing these guys a cap so high. There will be a $60 million a year quarterback within the next 2-3 years, which is insane.
Yeah. We've talked about this before. I guess I'll steal a spotlight here for a second, if you don't mind. I am not for not paying players, right? These guys, the money that they pull in is astronomical. They deserve to get paid. Let it be all incentive driven. It can be stupid incentives. Kyler Murray, you throw one touchdown pass, you get $2 million. Every touchdown pass you throw this year, $2 million. Simple.
I'm here for it, dude. I'm here for
Simple,
it. The
right?
guarantee money
Make
is
it
insane.
completions. Make it practices made.
Make it be
subtract
good.
$500K every time he plays Call of Duty on a work night. Like it doesn't have to be unattainable, right? But like giving a guy a guaranteed contract when we know how fickle the NFL is, injury is not what I'm talking about, right? Injury guarantees we could figure out. They got the best accountants and lawyers in the world working for the NFL. But no guy should get paid just to show up. Okay. Games start. That's
I don't get paid at my
$50K.
job. I don't get paid at my job just to show up. These motherfuckers getting paid millions and millions of dollars can't just get paid to show up. To sit in the backfield, to get hit a couple of times, throw a bunch of incompletions, and then go home and you raked in fucking $5 million that day. Like, get out of here. Come on now. That's nuts.
And make it attainable, right? I'm not saying these guys shouldn't get their money, but like you start $50K, you complete your first pass, $50K, throw a touchdown, $2 million. Like, but you're not getting paid to suck. You're not getting paid to be a drag on my culture, on my team. I don't understand it. Now the Cardinals, you're right, have to make this decision on Kyler Murray, who has never been a good quarterback for them. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's never been a good quarterback for the Cardinals. Come on.
I mean, wasn't he offensive rookie of the year? Done a 2-time Pro Bowl?
We already talked about the AP.
I mean, I will say that he has consistently been worse and worse and worse as far as what this organization needs from a quarterback.
I think his best year they were 500, weren't they? Like,
his contract had clauses in it that had to do with him studying. I'm sorry, but if you have to put a clause in for a $200 million contract that someone has to study game film and put a time amount in there, like what the fuck is this, bro? Is this a PIP? Is this a work coaching? Like, what is this?
He showed up for just long enough to get off the PIP and then cashed in. His best season was 2021. He went 9-5, 3,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks, 13 fumbles. Didn't lose any of them. Put the ball on the deck. He is 38, 48, and 1 in his career.
Yeah.
Why is he getting paid the way he is? He's not a good quarterback.
I don't know why either, dude. I have no idea why. And they'll come up with every excuse. Yes, I understand. Running backs are injured. Defensive players get injured. People get injured all day long. You still have to perform when you're on the field. You still need to be the best version of what your team needs to be able to win. And he just has not been that in a long time for this team. I think it's time for them to move on. Especially watching a very inexpensive Jacoby Brissett do just as well.
Better. Like,
not play better. Yeah. I mean, realistically, play better.
More shitty quarterbacks. Steelers, Browns. I'm going to stay on the thread from last week. I want to see Shadur play. I want them to give him every opportunity to prove that he belongs in the NFL.
100% agree.
He's saying the right things. He's doing the right things. Now the statistical performance needs to follow for me. And Steelers are kind of suspect. The playoff game for them. They have to win this game. But show me, Shadur, what you're capable of doing. And then on the other side of the ball, I don't know. Like, do you bring Aaron Rodgers back?
If you're Pittsburgh, yeah, I think you bring him back. I think that any quarterback who gives your team the best chance to win. The Steelers are. Mike Tomlin did what he said he was going to do, right? Above 500 again. So I mean, realistically, a 10-win, 11-win Steelers team. Much. I know, but it's real. It's real.
They're going to be 9-8 and miss the playoffs.
If they're 9-8 and miss the playoffs, I mean, that's one way. That's one way. That's one way to look at to evaluate how good the season was. You look at the record. You look at what he did behind quarterback, and then you ask yourself in the market, what gives you the best chance to win again next season? And I'll tell you right now, unfortunately for Pittsburgh, it's keeping Aaron Rodgers. They just don't have the market just doesn't have quarterbacks of and I hate to say it, but quarterbacks of his caliber, just throwing around. Hell, we had to have another grandpa come off the couch to come play. That's how ridiculous it is right now in the NFL. But I will say this: their offense is absolutely suspect. Sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't. I think one of the biggest issues is that Jalen Warren is a 3-down back, and they need to use Kenneth Gainwell a little bit more. I think that their receiver core could use a little work. I think that their defense at times is really good, and at times just plays average. And I think that that's where you see Rodgers on the field a lot, and you don't need him on the field a lot. So I think that they obviously have some things to work on there, but if you're Pittsburgh, you keep Rodgers. He's the best. He's going to give you the best chance to win as long as he's not a drain on the team. The problem for Rodgers is that he becomes a drain on the team very quickly, and we've seen in the last couple of years very quickly. Anytime the organization not doing what he wants, not doing things the way that he expects, he becomes a drain. And Tomlin, I don't think would put up with that. I think that they get rid of Rodgers before they get rid of Tomlin, especially since they're both the same age, probably.
Contemporaries, really. New England Patriots visiting the what did we say, the Berlin Jets? Is that where we were going to move them to? Pats need a win, not like drastically. They're keeping pace with the Broncos. They should be able to beat this Jets team. Do you care about this one? Is this even going to grace any of your screens today?
It probably will. I'm sure it'll cycle through. If I'm the Pats, you just got to keep your foot on the gas. This should be a blowout win for you. I think that you need to really I think realistically, they're probably going to do some things here to try to see if they can get a feel for some of their non-traditional plays. I would expect. I would expect that this is a game that you kind of try a couple of things out and kind of test to see where your team is looking like coming into the playoffs. I won't say look past the Jets, but their offense is inept and their defense isn't doing very much of anything either. And so you expect that if you're the Patriots, you should have a lot of play clock on your side. And so be methodical in your drives. Take your time and push down the field. Because that's one thing that you start to see in some of these teams where they get in these games and they score really quickly. And then their defense is on the field pretty quickly because their defense is, going 3 and outs and in short drives. And so the offense goes back out there. Suddenly the offense has to readjust. The offense has to change from going, being more pass heavy to be more run. And you kind of see those other teams start to make some comebacks, score because the defense has been out there so much that, they're not having their time to rest. So if I'm the Patriots, this should be a game where you have 150, 175 rushing yards. You should eat the shit out of the clock. You should have no problems with the game management. I think that would be the best takeaway for them if you can see them driving down the field on a long, sustained drives.
Yeah, I want to see them win here to put the pressure on. I know the NFL's too nuanced for them to be like trying to mastermind seeding. But if you win, the Broncos have to win. The Broncos play the Chargers. And if I'm the Chargers, I'm fighting like hell to get out of the 7th seed because it's the difference between going to New England and going to Jacksonville. And I think that's meaningful for the Chargers. So Patriots win here. The Broncos have to beat the Chargers. It makes everybody play. I believe if the Patriots lose here, the Broncos can just take the day off against the Chargers. It's like I said, NFL coaches for the most part aren't playing that game, but Patriots go out, take care of business. That'll lock the 2 seed if they win, and they'll have the chance at the 1. So I don't think the
Texans are going to take their foot off the gas either, and so you might see there's a potential flip here, Rick. That also is a game to watch as well, because if something happens there for whatever reason, and Jacksonville drops and Texans switch, that's also potential there. So there's a lot of games that mean a lot late in the season, which I love to see. I hate when I look and it's a bunch of games where everybody's just taking days off and resting. It's like, no, I want to see the best product on the field. I want to see people fighting. I don't give a shit about your 3rd string quarterback coming in because you don't need anybody to be playing right now. Like, get out there and put a good product on the field. So I really like the tightness of the divisions right now.
Bucks and Dolphins. Tampa Bay obviously fighting for their very survival here. They need a win about as bad as the Panthers do. And then they play each other the last week of the season. So if the Bucks lose, they are eliminated. So this is a playoff game for them against the Dolphins. No Tua. Dolphins looked like shit last week. I was hoping that they'd like turn out and turn up and play some good football, and I don't know if they're capable of it at this time of the year. But what do you have on Bucks and Dolphins from Miami?
The Bucks are going to put their foot down. They're going to be very, very angry in this game. I would have loved to see the Dolphins play spoiler here. If you're the Dolphins, obviously you got a lot of other things you got to worry about. Realistically, a close to 500 season would have been spectacular if you're Mike McDaniel. It keeps you your job. If you're Tua, it probably keeps you your job too. But now that they really are already in the shutdown mode, it seems more realistic. Like Tampa Bay is going to walk away with this game, but you never really know. Anything can happen. But I expect that Tampa is going to put them down. And basically they have to look at every single day like it's a playoff game. You're absolutely correct. So I don't think that they're going to be doing anything less than putting their best product on the field today. And look for Baker to be very, very, very hungry and to be taking a lot of those shots that you would like to see him take. So this should be an air raid. It should probably start off as an air raid.
Well, you still get Mike Evans to 1,000 yards.
Jeez.
Jaguars, Colts. This is a very important game for the Jaguars. Colts are donezo already. But the Colts play the Jags and then the Texans last 2 weeks. And we just talked about the importance of those teams. Colts can ruin all kinds of stuff here. They can ruin things with losses. They can ruin things with wins. And I picture Phillip Rivers. Like, Phillip Rivers doesn't understand how the playoffs works. He is not convinced that the Colts are out. He doesn't have any idea how seeding works. You show him like the playoff machine, and it just overwhelms him. He's like a newspaper guy. So, like, I think they're going to get 100% from Phillip Rivers because, like, the guy has no idea how the postseason works.
We're going to watch again Phillip Rivers just on the edge of the playoffs. It's like it's 2010 all over again. No, it's gonna be a good game. I think as far as the Colts go, they are looking to show that their slide was just that, a slide. I think that they're looking up for next season to start off the season 7-0 and then shit the bed as badly as they did. Has to be the most depressing thing if you're Carly Ursay. But I think that their team's looking forward, looking up after this year and hoping to move forward and put a few more pieces in place to actually take their division. With that being said, you're absolutely correct. If they win this game or the next game, it puts some really, really fun situations in play, which I really love. I love teams playing spoiler. I'd love to see a good game here. I've been talking about the Jags for a while. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs, but whether or not they're going to be a division playing at home or playing away really matters. And so if you're the Jags, you got to come out here and you got to play a really tough game. And you really got to show that you're that team that's ready to take that next step. So I expect the Jaguars to come out here and really, really play tough football. Clock management is key. But this is where you start testing Trevor Lawrence and seeing what he's really made of. All that money that you paid him, now this is where you start to see what he's really made
of. No team in the history of the NFL has started a season 7-0 and missed the playoffs.
Until today.
So
it is.
Yeah. Goddamn Colts. Saints and Titans. Sean, I saw a redraft from one of these talking heads, NFL draft experts, that had a certain Saints quarterback, number 1 overall in the redraft for this past year's draft.
Oh, my God.
Strange, since, clearly the Saints thought Rattler was better. Who wins this game if the only thing we're looking at are these two rookie quarterbacks?
If we're only looking at the quarterbacks, it's tough for me because you've seen Cam Ward all season, and you've seen random fun little plays, but never really anything put together too well. With that being said, they won a game. They won their last. They won a game that you weren't expecting them to win. But I mean, Schaff was it? Is it Schaff? I still don't know how to.
Shuck.
Shuck.
Like an oyster.
Shuck. Ugh, Shuck. But you've got 3 wins in a row from the Saints here, and so for them, I think that they're like, oh man, finally we got our guy. And that's great. That's what you want to look for in a team. So I think if we are just looking at quarterback to quarterback, I'm going to go ahead and say that New Orleans wins this game. But it's funny just because of how much you can get some random dynamic plays from Cam Ward that just look like he's a human highlight reel sometimes. Unfortunately, a lot of those highlights are really bad. But I think that it'll be a fun game to watch. I think that both these teams are looking forward. I think obviously this season has been a wash, but at the same time, they both did some evaluating and seeing what their team needs to do to move forward next season. So I think it's going to be a fun game, if you will, but we're going to see a fair amount of sacks and a fair amount of errant passes, like very far thrown errant passes from both of these guys.
The Saints were 2-10. They are now 5-10. They are only 3 games back in this division. If they can piece everything without Kamara for large parts of the season, this division's bad. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I won't take anything away from the Panthers and the Bucks, but wow, this division could be a race to the bottom with everybody, sitting at that like 7-10 and making the playoffs.
Well, before we jump on that boat, let's talk about the fact that Tampa Bay started off the season 6-1 and shat the bed. So I mean, this year for them is definitely not what they were expecting, and more importantly, not what they were expecting only a couple of weeks ago.
And
so
a lot of injuries for them as well, right?
True, of course. So I think that they believe that this is their division, and I do not think that their record is truly indicative of how the division really is, because Carolina outperforming, I think that they got some pieces, a few more pieces here. They could be a tough team to play. And so I think that them and Tampa Bay probably are still that 1-2. I think that there's a few more pieces that the Saints need to get in that conversation. But you are correct. The record is as it stands, and you never really know what's going to happen on any given Sunday in football. So injuries matter, But I think that understanding what your team is and what you have and what you need to improve at is so much more important for a lot of teams. So I think that that's where they are now, both these teams, and I think that they're starting to get those things figured out. So we'll see how they look next year. I'm more hopeful of the Saints, though, than Tennessee. Tennessee's got a lot more things they need to do.
Music City Bowl on Tuesday. This field is going to be destroyed for that game. So that should be fun. Probably the most important game of the whole week here, Sean. Giants and Raiders. Can the Raiders do enough to lose this game and secure a higher draft pick? This will be only the 3rd time in NFL history that 2 teams are 11 or more games under 500 and will play each other.
Wow, I did not know that statistic. The NFL will always find something for you. This is your race to the bottom, but honestly, if you're the Giants, you got a lot more to be hopeful for. Obviously, injuries derailed your team. You feel like you found some guys that are really going to help push your team to the next level. So for them, their evaluation is going to be a little bit different than the Raiders. Raiders absolutely, they need to find the biggest receivers and the best offensive linemen and hope for the best in this next draft. I don't know who they're drafting from. But stop drafting speed and start drafting strength and size. Obviously, Bowers was a different different guy, and I hope that whoever drafted him is in my draft room again, because that's what I'm looking for. And so I'm just excited that my team gets to play football, and knowing that this is a lost season, at least we can hope for the future. But
are you excited for the movie?
Which movie?
Madden.
Oh, Madden.
You
Yes.
Yeah, God,
Yes, I
tell me
have.
you've seen
I,
this. Tell me you've
yeah,
seen
yeah,
this. Holy
yes,
shit. It's incredible.
yes, I have. I'm sorry. I got really confused. I was like, what movie? Like, yeah, no, it's gonna be sick, dude. I realistically didn't have a full scope of like how important he was to the franchise and like his career. Obviously, our introduction to, or at least my introduction to Madden was the video game as a kid. So to really get a sense of like and to really get a sense of who he was more of as a person, more as a personality, more as a coach, would be really really cool. I love that. I love that I get a chance to see that biopic. So
Eagles go to Buffalo. This game is mostly transactional, uh, but I feel like for both of these teams, it is pretty important because they have both looked kind of suspect at times. What do you need to see out of Philly and Buffalo?
Philly's run game has to get it together. They've been so inconsistent all season with the run game, and it gets them into situations where they feel more telegraphed. If you open up with two rushes that go nowhere, and then you have to drop back with Jalen Hurts, teams just start pinning their ears back and just going after them. So their offensive line has had some issues this season. Obviously, injuries definitely play a part. Retirement, we talked about that. But I think at the end of the day, like you have to be able to give your quarterback the time he needs to execute. And so if they can get yards on first and second, and extend some of these drives, they either have really long drives or they go three and out. Like it was like no in between for them this season. And if they can do that, then that gives them the best chance to win. Same thing for the Bills. I mean, having a Pro Bowl running back, and then that's in my opinion, and Cook finally the guy that you really needed that back there, and still losing some of these games. I mean, it just goes to show, in my opinion, that Josh Allen still hasn't gotten over that hump. Yeah, MVP season last year, but where did it get you? So to be the team, to only be facing the Super Bowl reigning champions and be able to beat them right before the playoffs will be a huge confidence boost, I think, for the Bills. Also, we're still looking at the jockeying for position here.
Yeah,
Obviously,
and that's what I was about to
there's
say. The seeding matters for both these teams, especially with the Sunday night football game we're about to talk about. Like a win for either of these teams is massive for positioning. I think it's probably more
mhm.
important for the Eagles than it is the Bills, because the Bills are not. If we assume the Patriots beat the Jets, it's kind of meaningless for the Bills. Their seeding isn't as important as the Eagles getting home games, but it will move seeds up and down no matter who wins this game. So it
Well,
does.
the
It does
Eagles
have some meaning.
the Eagles clinched a division, so they're automatically getting a home game. Realistically, we're looking at whether or not they can, if they can somehow pass the Bears here, they go 2-3. They're at worst going to be even with Carolina, so I think they can only be 2 or 3. But if you're Buffalo, you have to hope whether or not you're going to get these wins and the Patriots somehow shit the bed. They could still potentially get that division. Um,
Yeah,
and
they
then
could be
could.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7.
Yep. So this every for them, it's playoff game every single game. Every single game of the playoff. The Eagles, this they don't have to do anything else. I mean, realistically, if they want, they can just sit at 3. And honestly, just watch San Fran and LA kind of play, fight against each other. Because that's really what you're looking at. Outside of that, they're in a good position. Buffalo needs this game. Buffalo needs this game because Josh Allen has always been chasing. If you notice, he's never been the guy for me. He's always been chasing. He's been chasing Patrick Mahomes, and now suddenly Mahomes goes out one year. He's chasing Drake May. Like, when is he ever going to catch up? Is he always going to be that guy who's just a step behind? If you're him, you need this year. Like, this is your year. This is your chance to win. If you don't win without the Chiefs and you give them a chance next year to come back healthy, and this Patriots team looking like they look right now, like what does that say about your legacy? I mean, Lamar Jackson, the 2 MVPs, he's not really a guy that a lot of people are like, oh, well, we're expecting him to make the Super Bowl. But every year they're just one score away, just one win away, just one play away. And so you don't want to be the guy who's always the what if. And if you're Josh Allen, your whole career ends up you just being one score, one win shy of the big game, like that's gonna fucking eat at you.
If the Panthers and the Eagles end up tied, the Panthers have the tiebreaker NFC record. So,
well, I don't expect the Eagles to lose. I don't expect the Eagles to lose to the Commanders. I think even with the quarterback, they still beat the Commander.
Sunday Night Football, another huge one as far as seeding is concerned. Bears and Niners. We already touched on what can happen out west with the Seahawks and the Niners, but this is a huge one for the Bears as well. Obviously, a win here keeps you in position for a high seed. Not likely the 1 seed, but it is still technically in play, I believe.
One game.
But the win over the Niners would ensure that people have to come through Chicago. All but guarantees you a matchup with the Packers. I think it's also just important for the Bears at this point to play well against another playoff team. We've seen them dip at times late in the season here. I mean, they're 11-4. They've played great, right? But they have some head-scratching losses, and they still have some time in games where it seems like they don't believe their own press clippings, right? Like they aren't as good as this. And they usually snap out of it, and they play well on the stat lines there at the end of the day. But I think what Bears fans are really wanting to see is let's go into San Francisco and get this win, right? And the rest will take care of itself. The seeding and shit, it all sorts out. But what can you do? And you can control this game right now. And for this mostly young Bears core to go into what is very much playoff game environment and pull out a win, I think would be huge for their development, especially going into the real playoffs.
An away game against San Fran, and you take that, it's going to be the biggest confidence booster that they could possibly have. It keeps them at 2, obviously barring anything crazy happening with Seattle. It keeps them at 2, and it 100% ensures that everything comes through them. But I think there's just beating up on playoff caliber teams is what they need to really do. Beating a Packers team, obviously that's ailing, that's one thing there. Closing out the season against a Lions team who's eliminated, okay, whatever. But like this San Fran team finds ways to win every single week. And so this is, for me, is a test as to where the Bears really are. I mean, you look at the Steelers and their playoff team. You look at the Eagles and their playoff team, but we've called these teams suspect all season. They've been inconsistent. This Niners team has been pretty damn consistent for most of the season. We've seen a lot. Obviously, they've had injuries, but they've worked their way through those. And so we kind of looked past them because the Rams look so dominant and Seattle looks so dominant at times. But if you're the Bears, you need to close this game out. You need to take this win if you can, and this is what propels you, in my opinion, into playoff mode. You beat the Lions next week, and you are marching. You are marching, moving forward. You are doing what you need to do to keep yourself in the best form to be able to win games in the playoffs. So if I'm the Bears, I'm putting my foot on the gas here. If you're the Niners, you can't do anything else but win games. You gotta win out and hope some other people lose. But realistically, you're not scratching your head here either. It's you're going to put your best product on the field. You've got some really good receivers. You got Christian McCaffrey back there. And you've got an offense that can score when it needs to and a defense that can stop people when it needs to. So I think that they're hoping that they're going to be the team out of the West that's going to put the biggest fight in the playoffs here.
Well, staying in the division, Monday Night Football is the Los Angeles Rams and the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously a lost season for the Falcons here. But they can keep the Rams from moving any further up this playoff board. Already clinched a spot, currently sitting as the 6th seed. They can play spoiler. I don't know that they will. Dome game. The Rams are going to be very comfortable. And if I'm the Rams, I'm still pissed off about the way I've played the last few weeks. So I'm hoping that these guys will tap into some of their pride. They should beat the tar out of the Falcons.
Yeah, the Rams are going to have a bad taste in their mouth after that Seahawks loss. They're going to be really, really upset, and I can expect them to come into this game, the defense to be rearing back and just getting after the quarterback. This Atlanta offensive line just is not one of the better ones in the NFL. Obviously, Bijan covers a lot of the deficiencies, but at the end of the day, I expect that one of the better defensive lines, one of the better defensive guys in Jared Verse is going to get some really good pressures on the QB, and you're going to see a Rams team that just wants that's ready to just destroy these next two teams and push their way into the playoffs. If you're them, you've got the easiest closeout to the season of all these teams that have playoff ambitions and want to get the seeding right. So you close out here, you let Seattle deal with the tougher schedule, and you hope for the best for yourself. So from the Rams, I'm coming out and I'm putting up 40 on this team, no breaks at all.
Well, that's the thing. Keep the pressure on. There's no reason this team shouldn't finish 13-4.
Mm-hmm.
But the Seahawks are right there. The Niners are right there. So really, really impressed by the NFC West this season. And then the Cardinals are there too, obviously. But
there's always a division that's like super stacked up top, and then there's one team that's just gosh awful.
Well, they got to be, right? Because you got to drop all 6 of your games to help feed the monster. So
fair enough.
That's the slate. That's week 17. It looks like there's going to be a lot of meaningful games for week 18, at least from a seeding standpoint. Playoff will probably be wrapped after this week. Steelers, Ravens, and Panthers, Bucks are the last slots open on both sides there. Sean, you got any last minute thoughts on week 17 before we let everyone go hit their lineups?
I just hope that you guys enjoy your New Year's coming up. We're going to keep it going next season. We're going to keep it going for pushing into the playoffs. It's been a pleasure. 2026, let's have some good football. Let's do what we need to do, guys, and get ourselves in the best situation possible in our lives. Love you guys, and goodbye to 2025.
Yeah. Check your lineups, make your bets. Good luck if you are in your fantasy championships or relegation games. Get yourselves out there. Thanks for joining us on Yelling and Screaming. We will see you next week for week 18. Peace out, y'all.
Peace out. Take care.